So friends, today I'm going to explain a recently released real-life Indonesian horror movie. The movie's name is Disam, which is based on one of Satan's 5, the genie Yoni. I hope you'll enjoy this movie and how it adapts to reality. This story is based on true events. The story begins with the wedding of a couple. This couple was Noam Salmo and Arman. Both of them seemed quite happy with their wedding, while on the other side we see Salman and Arman looking at the pages of a book. Then, Salman and Arman are having a photo shoot and everything is going well when suddenly we see an old man named Hassan Noam who was a cleric and is actually Salman's uncle, and he was the one who arranged Salman and Arman's wedding. Now here, he was talking to Denom's son who happens to be Salman's friend, and he tells Diko that his father had given him the responsibility of Salman's wedding. Meanwhile, Salman arrives and takes Hassan for a photo shoot. The scene changes to show that Salman is now pregnant, and they learn that Salman and Arman have moved into her mother's house, where Arman's mother is pregnant. Anyway, while Salama Begum is doing the same, she's talking to her uncle Hassan on the phone. She tells him that she's been experiencing strange nightmares for a while now, and that Arman is mostly out of sorts, and that being alone is quite difficult for her. Hassan then tells her that everything will be fine and suggests that she use the holy water he gave her. She then hangs up. Meanwhile, she hears the sound of a shower running in the bathroom, but when she goes in, she finds no one there. The holy water bottle was lying there. She picks it up, but as soon as she touches it, it changes color and turns black. There were worms inside it, and she threw the bottle away in fear. Just then, Indri, her friend, arrives. We learn that Salman used to work, but Arman forced her to quit because she couldn't do it during her pregnancy. Meanwhile, Arman arrives and they all take care of Salman. After that, they leave, but after their return, we see a ghost in the house. There's some kind of evil in the house, apparently connected to Salman. After a while, they return home, where Somi, the housekeeper and maid, helps them get Salman out. After this, Arman meets his mother. In the last scene, Kofi was very happy with their arrival and was very excited for her grandchild. Salman is looking at the house when she starts to pull the curtains from the window. Then her mother-in-law stops her and says that their neighbors are not good and they interfere a lot in other people's communities, which means they used to tease you, and that's why the curtains have been put up here, so there is no need to remove them. The scene continues where Salman is praying when Arman enters the room. Now, after the prayer is over, Salman notices that Arman has come from Bor, meaning that the person who entered the room first was not Arman. Seeing this, Salman becomes alarmed and asks Arman to pray with her again. Then we see a shadow in the reflection of the TV. Now they both pray. The scene then shifts to the bathroom where Salma was sleeping when suddenly her eyes open. She sees blood dripping from the ceiling, which frightens her, but it was nightmare. She suddenly feels something under her blanket and sees a devil inside it, but it was also a dream. She is quite frightened, and when Arman calms her down, the next day, Salma tells everyone at the dining table that Uncle Hassan asked her to hold a prayer for her 4th month's pregnancy, and many people attend the prayer. But even Lost didn't want to call her neighbors because she didn't even know anyone properly, and this was because of her lack of interaction. The next day, prayer begins, and many people come there, some of whom are talking about how Lost managed to keep the prayer since she doesn't even talk to anyone. Meanwhile, we learn that the woman is not feeling well, and that's why she wasn't present at the prayer. During prayer, suddenly the light starts flickering and it starts to rain heavily, after which the woman comes over and puts the sofas lying in the courtyard inside. The scene now shifts to the evening where Uncle Hassan was sleeping. Before leaving, he asked her to come over sometime. Salma Bolhar was sitting alone, and then he asked her to meet him. The lady from the house, their neighbor, comes in and greets her, welcomes her, and wishes her the best for the baby. Meanwhile, Salma asks about her mother-in-law's baby, who hasn't come for her period. Salma explains that she hasn't been feeling well, which is why she couldn't come, but seeing the sofa wet, she quickly came. Just then, Salma overhears her mother-in-law telling her worker that next time they'll arrange the arrangement carefully, and because of them, their mother-in-law's furniture got damaged. So we understand that the situation is much more strange than it appears. Then, the next day, Salma is making kano. A woman walks in, she's talking to her about Arman's favorite kano, but Salma is actually making healthy kano for Arman to keep his cholesterol under control. Hearing this, the woman starts saying behind her back that even she didn't control her son as much as she is. And hearing this, Salma feels very bad because she's a total jerk. It's the same old
daughter-in-law Volodramo. And now she's doing the same thing. Law scene, and yet another boring one. Anyway, Salma, her boss, brings Armin to the office to make Kano. But she sees a beautiful girl wearing a Western dress coming outside Armin's office. She's actually an ambassador for his company, and seeing her in the office makes her feel a little uneasy, as she feels a little insecure. Salma finally gives her husband a gift, and then an entry comes in as she also used to work at the same company. The biggest thing is Indra made this gift with her. Still, they're talking to each other. Salma, who happens to be talking in her sasba sack, she may not be happy with him, but she tells Indra that everything will be fine, and for now, she should worry about their upcoming baby. Salma arrives home, where she is painting a small model house, when suddenly a piece of stone flies over her. She's a little scared and she goes to check the room, but there's no one there, so she locks the doors and goes back into her room. It was originally a small office space, but she hears a noise coming from upstairs. Hearing this, she goes to check the attic. She sees a demo figure and quickly goes downstairs. Meanwhile, she accidentally drops a pot and breaks it. Hearing this, she comes there and Salma says that she saw something upstairs. Then she says that she will check with Armin. Salma starts collecting the pieces of the pot. Then she tells him that she will do this work because Salma is being called by someone. Now she sees the buharkar, and there is D there, who is the poster.
He brought it and gave it to Somi. Somo suddenly had a cut on her finger, which must have been caused by a piece of the pot. Seeing this, Dee bandaged it. She was watching all this and must have mistaken them. Just then, Arman came there and saw them. Dee then told him to leave. Arman told Somo that Dee might be a little too concerned about him, to which Somo replied that he always cared less than her. Then Arman went to check in the attic, but he found nothing. But then a ghost followed him, whispering something. Hearing this, he too got scared, but when he comes down, he tells Somo that there are only rats there and nothing else. He doesn't want to tell her anything. Arman starts leaving for his office, but on his way back, Somo finds pieces of jewelry that Somo didn't have. Seeing this, she feels a little special, wondering if Arman is cheating on her. Then Dio arrives, having brought some kano for her, which Somo accepts. She gives Somo some kano, saying it's very tasty. Dio invites him to her house, which is located next to a large tree nearby. Well, Dio leaves, and Somo comes in with some kano and gives it to Somi so she can put some in Arman's tiffin box. Because Arman likes spicy kano, and Somi does just that. She asks Somi if she's been feeling strange living here. She says that these things are common during pregnancy. Now Somo goes to get ready, and when she looks at herself in the bathroom, she finds her clothes there. The jewelry was broken, and she felt that her husband was cheating on her. It was strange to think so, because she was a wife, and in such a situation, her husband's clothes would be broken, or even women's jewelry. It was quite weird. Now she starts applying makeup, thinking that maybe she's no longer beautiful, so she's not sure if her husband is doing this to her, and at the same time she was pregnant. Well, in the meantime, she suddenly meets the man she's got ready for. When she comes downstairs, her mother-in-law asks her about losing her. Somo tells her that Kanu, their neighbor, had given her diyas. Somo was on her way to meet Uncle Hassan. Kano, who is also their neighbor, takes her poo and meets Uncle Hassan. She explains that her problem is getting weird. She sees strange things and hears voices. Then Uncle Hassan says that it's common for her to feel this way in a new home. But here Somo is remembering her grandfather, who's no longer in this world. Uncle Hassan then says that he will pray for her grandfather. Then after that, he opens the diyas given to Somo, which were infested with worms. She's been devastated, and the same thing happens with the loss of Arman. Because of all this, Somo starts experiencing trouble at home. Somo says that she's absolutely lost her, but someone must have replaced her. But then her mother asks, why would she do that? A fight could have escalated, but Arman calms Somo down. Anyway, Somo comes into the room and cries, after which she begins to get ready for bed. She also looks at her stomach, and meanwhile, we see the pages of the book again, where the words are flashing. On the other side, Arman is sitting in bore when his mother, his wife, comes over. She says that maybe Somo is uncomfortable in this house. She should talk to him about Joker so that everything is fine between them. Meanwhile, Somo hears Arman's voice, which sounds like he's talking to another woman. The voice seems to be coming from the basement, but when she searches there, she finds no one. Then Somi comes there to throw the bag, and Somo asks Somi for Arman's bag, to which she tells him that he is inside. After this, Somi throws the bag, but Lohit suddenly starts to flinch, and upon seeing this, Somi runs away.
But then something like a drum comes from behind her, and the scene cuts to that point. Meanwhile, Selma enters her room where Arman's messages are coming in, and Arman is asleep. Selma starts checking her phone, but Arman stops her, saying that these messages might be related to her work. Selma then tries to be a little romantic with Arman before going to sleep, but Arman turns her down, saying he's sleepy. Hearing all this, Selma starts crying because her suspicions are true. She's convinced Arman is cheating on her. Anyway, the next day, Selma was sprinkling holy flowers all over the house, and then we see Somi, who was alive, meaning she escaped the enemy. Then she talks to Sumit about the smells Selma was feeling in the sack of things. Maybe it's all true. Lois is there, someone's evil presence. Then Lois says she'll take care of everything, but first she'll put the leaves in the sack of lamps. In the next scene, Selma is sitting in her office when she hears two voices. But this time, the whole house starts shaking and she panics and calls her husband, who is in an important meeting. Now Arman picks up the call, and Selma apologizes for the situation. She then begins to say that her boyfriend isn't making any sense. Selma then angrily tells him that she never cared about him. She wanted his project to fail. And he finds this quite strange. But we find out that the person who said all this wasn't Selma, because Selma had already hung up on her. There was someone here who wanted to create conflict between the husband and wife, and this wasn't a human being, but an entity. As all this is happening, he arrives there to help Selma. Meanwhile, a strange noise is heard, and Deco rushes there to investigate, only to find a swarm of bats. Meanwhile, Arman is sitting alone, holding a lighter. Arman used to smoke cigarettes, but he's since quit. Just then, Indri arrives, sitting next to him. She offers him a cigarette, saying that he should take estrogen sometimes to relieve stress, and asks why he's so worried. Then she says that her marriage isn't going well, but she thinks this is a common occurrence in marriages. On the other hand, we see Selma, who sends Deco home, after which Deco comes to Selma's house and Selma talks to Deco. Deco tells Selma that similar things happened to her too, meaning with her husband, but then she finds out that her husband was cheating on her, and hearing this, Selma becomes even more insecure. She watches all this through the lost scene window. The scene shifts to Selma calling Indra in tears because Arman hasn't returned home. She asks him in her sack why Arman is staying late with his team for 2 weeks, but Indra tells her that he's done his work and that he might stay here a little longer on his own. Here, Indri mentions that some people were going to stay with her, and Selma asks why the company ambassador keeps coming to the office. Indri says that she actually comes there, and that she was talking to Indria about the same woman she saw in the office shopping cart, which made her quite jealous. Anyway, after hanging up the phone, Selma goes into the office to check things out. There she sees the woman who was upstairs. Selma follows her, but she's too fast. She looks upstairs, but finds no one there. Just then, she sees the woman coming out of the shopping center of Arman's cabin. Selma follows the woman, but she's already gone, and Selma hits the railing, and then Indra comes running towards her. She gets angry at Indri for hiding the fact that she didn't come. Selma confronts Arman about this and tells him that he's having an affair with her, but Arman doesn't understand what she's saying. Then Selma shows him the poster, the one in which she was the ambassador. Arman doesn't want to cause any trouble here, so he takes her somewhere in the room. There, they have a heated argument, and the argument narrowly avoids a terrible accident, after which they return home, where Selma sees herself in the mirror. Then, on the other side, the book has been opened again. This book is no ordinary book, but a book on witchcraft, and it is directly affecting Selma. She considers herself ugly, but this isn't real. It means there was some kind of power that wanted her to look ugly. Now, in tears, Arman is sleeping on the couch because Salmo and he had a fight. Then Salmo, his girlfriend, comes and starts choking him, and Arman is quite frightened by this. But then suddenly Salmo disappears. Characters that never exist in real life are also appearing in Yuhani's house. The next day, Kamwali is chasing Sumi Dio, who had gone to her house, but then she hears some noises from there and looks out the window, where she finds that the house is completely open. Now, Brandon is there, and no one else is inside, because the atmosphere in the house was very bad for her. No one could stay there.
But then a ghost comes into her house and she gets quite frightened by the sight of it. Now, on the other hand, Lotus tells Salmo that if she wants to share something or if she's worried about something, she can share it with her. Salmo replies that her sons are cheating on her, but that doesn't matter because she'll only take his side. How can Yohani take her daughter-in-law's side? Saying this, she starts walking away. Meanwhile, Sumi arrives and tells her everything. She reveals that there's another house at the same address as Dia's house where no one lives, and the people around Dia have no idea that such a woman lives there. Meanwhile, Dia arrives at the gate, having come to talk to Salmo, after which they sit outside. But when Lotta's scene looks, she finds Salmo alone. Dia wasn't there, meaning Dia definitely had no life but a dream. Seeing this, Coffee gets quite scared. Meanwhile, Salmo comes inside, turns on the gas, and walks away. When Lotus tries to turn off the gas, the flames suddenly go out, causing Lotus to get slightly injured. Just then, Salmo arrives and helps her. But I want to tell you that the one who turned on the gas wasn't Salmo, but the very creature who took Salmo's form. Well, the scene changes to Sumi and Armand arriving at her place, where Armand scolds Sumi, believing she was the one who turned on the gas. Lotus doesn't say anything because she knows something is wrong with Salmon, and she can't do that. Sumi apologizes and tells Armand that she was with a guest and didn't do anything like that. Armand assumes Dee could be the guest, and he reprimands Salmon about Dee. Hearing this, Salmon becomes angry and leaves, believing she's cheating and suspecting him. Now, crying, Shri tells Sumi that she spoke to Salmon's uncle, Hassan, but he's a little busy at boarding school. She told him that she could get the holy water from him, and there's a lottery here, so she sends Sumi to get the holy water. But on the way the same day, Sumi was followed by Hassan. When Sumi turns back, he comes closer to her. Then, as Sumi walks down the road, a bus hits her. After a while, she tells everyone that she's lost her coffee and is crying because she's blaming herself for it. Just then, we see Hassan inside his library. There he checks a book with a torn page. If we look closely, it's the same book we were shown in the visual. Just then, a jinn appears, possibly intending to harm Hassan. But Hassan, who is also a tool, drives it away by calling him a powerful player.
The woman was sitting there when Salmo arrived and told Salmo that she was with her and that she trusted her. But Rio was behind all this because the hearing was done at the place where Dio lived, and that place was completely different. Hearing this, Salmo became angry at her because she felt that Dio was the only one who understood her, but she wanted to separate her from him. Salmo then left and went to Dio's house to check on her own where Mojiro was. Her close friend Holly Voter was also present. A knock on Dio's door revealed that Dio came in and the house seemed completely normal to her. Dia invites her inside and they start talking, but Dia, who was there, is trying to incite her against her in-laws, and Dia and they embrace. Salmo's eyes then fall on the holy water bottle, which had been spilled, and the bottle had broken on its own. This makes Salmo suspicious of Dia, and she sees her true face, which is clearly visible in the mirror's reflection. Dia now understands that Dio knows everything, so she reveals herself in her true form, much to Salmo's horror. Meanwhile, Lost begins to hear some noises from outside the house. After seeing the Joker, he finds a room containing a vagina-shaped broom. The moment he touched it, he felt a pang of disgust. Then Somi appears in his sleep, but it wasn't Somi, but the same djinn, and he starts chasing her. In the process, Lost falls down the stairs and gets seriously injured. Salmo, on the other hand, was quite frightened, but she reads the Atul Kursi and starts having sex. When she gets home, she starts calling out to her in-laws and father, but no one is there to hear her. Anyway, those jinns keep appearing in his sleep in different forms. One of them was the ambassador lady, meaning she was the ambassador lady herself. As I told you, Indra had said in the shopping mall that the ambassador lady never comes there. But here, when Salma was looking at him with boredom, it was clear to her that this was the same jinn, and he was traveling a lot, which means that he was a jinn, which clearly meant there was a misunderstanding between them. Now, Salmo prays here, in whose presence the jinn temporarily disappears. Then, after having sex, she somehow comes straight to Indra's house. She tells Indra she needs to meet her uncle Hassan at a hotel and that it's urgent and that Indra should take her there somehow. Indra goes inside and Salma finds a letter addressed to her husband, meaning her husband must be there. Then, she sees Armin coming out of the bathroom, and Salma becomes very angry. She suspects Indra and Armin are having an affair. She starts fighting with Indra and the two of them. Armin then explains that it's not like that. When he came home, he found his mother injured, and he found Indra on her way to the hospital, after which he stayed with her. But Salma refuses to understand. She gives Indra a good scolding. She then says that she's a total self-centered person who only thinks about herself and never about others. Her husband did so much for her, even moved house, but she keeps blaming him. Hearing this, Salma slaps Indra. She then tells her husband that if she thinks she's selfish, he should divorce her. With that, she leaves. Anyway, Armin follows her in a taxi. Then she meets her uncle, Hassan, the Joker. He tells her the whole story, that one of the pages in one of his books was about Ghaib, and that page contained the name of the jinn, one of the 5 sons of Satan, the devil. With this page, she could summon the demons of the jinn, who were specifically used to break relationships. Hearing this, Salma realized that whatever was wrong between her and her husband was because of that day. Hassan tells her that they must immediately start praying as they will be saved. Armin arrives and they start praying, and let us see the page visually. And then he seduces Selmo, and Selmo goes completely out of control, and Hassan tries to stop him. With the vulva smothering, the target on this day was none other than Selmo. Obviously, he wanted to distance himself from everyone so he could seduce her. Anyway, Hassan was trying very hard to control Selmo, but she gets into position and thrusts a wooden stick into his leg, and then she attacks Armin as well. But Hassan somehow manages to restrain her from behind, and by reciting the prayer, he releases the sin from within her. The scene shifts to Armin taking her to the hospital. When Selma wakes up, she sees that Armin and her mother were with her, but she couldn't save the child. Armin comforts her, saying it was God's will, and she begins to cry for her child. The scene then shifts to Armin and Selma moving into their new home, where Hassan holds a prayer gathering for peace. Meanwhile, Selma's mother comes to her in the middle of her period and secretly tells her that she's getting her period, so where's her bathroom? She has to use esophagus, and Selma puts it in a sack in the bathroom and goes into the bathroom. Friends, now the real secrets of this movie are finally revealed. Here we learn that Indri had the jewelry pieces in her possession, and we learn that whatever was happening to them was done by Indri, and she was the one who summoned the culprit, and whatever Selma was doing was also connected to the cell phone which Indri had done. And when did Indri do it? So, when did Indri do it? When they were moving into their new house, she had also kept a Shopi doll and a box of clothes, and she hides this doll inside the bathroom sink, which shows how dangerous Indri was. But then we see her real face visible in the mirror's reflection, which is absolutely black. Now the culprit must have taken Indri back because she didn't do what she did to Yoni. Surely she must have offered it to Salmo here, but it didn't happen that way. That's why he took Indri back, and now he will end Salmo's life. Then it's possible that Indri herself is guilty of stealing. The one who did all this to Yoni was none other than Indri, who had become very jealous of her friend here. Because here Selmo found what Indri had always wanted. Perhaps she wanted to end Selmo's life, and that's why this movie ends. So friends, this was the story of the 10th film, and I already told you in the 10th part why these jinn and demons exist, so here we'll talk mainly about Indri. Indri was the reason for all this, and that's what we find out in the end, but initially we were portrayed as if she was Selmo's best friend, but she was his biggest enemy. This movie tells us that nowadays we can't trust anyone, even those who are close to us and talk to us nicely can become our biggest enemies. Similarly, Indri was doing the same, and she definitely did all this because she liked Armin. But obviously, who did Armin like here? Who did he marry? She even got pregnant with Selmo there. Perhaps that's why Indri was very angry, which is why she decided not to do it. Now let's talk about Dasi. In the real story, Dasi is a jinn who mostly comes in contact with black magic and sorcery. Jinn generally manipulate the mind and emotions of humans, and we saw this in the movie as well, and it fills their lives with negativity. Dasi is mentioned in Islamic and Islamic literature and often creates problems in married lives such as misunderstanding, anger, and emotional distance between spouses. It is said that Dasi targets a person's subconscious mind. It sows doubts, jealousy, and fear in their minds. It also affects the intimacy of couples and sometimes even their lives, and this was also happening in the movie. It mostly influences the relationships within the house, even within close relationships, and that too with negative emotions. It shows its presence in a subtle way. It seems that the person himself feels depression, anxiety, or even extreme irritation without even realizing it. The biggest thing is that by staying here, he is coming in the form of a dia and believes that this is why he must be rotting here. It is because of staying here that the holy voters are facing problems, which shows that there was a presence of dia inside his house.
So I hope you enjoyed this movie, which is based on true events. If you liked it, please like the video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. For more interesting videos, you'll see the like button in the comments section. If you see it, press it quickly so the video has a better reach. I recently explained Janoob and Sirius, which are very serious. You've missed Joker. Check it out. You'll find the link in the comments below. I'll see you all in the next video, so stay tuned.